Do you want to rank #1 on Amazon without blowing your budget on ads? Well, after ranking over 1,000 products to page 1 for some of the most profitable brands on Amazon, I can tell you this: Amazon SEO isn't luck. And by the end of this video, you'll walk away with the exact system that I used and the templates that make everything simple and repeatable. And yes, I'm even going to share the free resource link in the description so you can go grab the exact same starter tool that my team uses. I'm Sean Farrington, founder of Pro Seller Elite. Over the years, I've helped generate more than $100 million in Amazon sales, and SEO has been the #1 driver behind it all. So this isn't theory. In fact, Carrick's product followed this exact system, and in less than a day, he went from invisible to top of page 1 using my personal SEO framework, the same one that has survived every Amazon update since 2017. And here's what we're gonna cover together. First, I'm gonna expose the biggest SEO myth that keeps sellers stuck. Then I'll walk you through the real ranking drivers that are working right now on Amazon. And finally, I'll show you exactly how to apply them step by step to your own listings. So if you've ever wondered why your product isn't moving or how to break through Amazon's ranking wall, this is the system that will finally give you answers. So first up, pause the video, go grab that $1 million SEO template. You're gonna need it to follow along. All right, got the template? Good, now let's dive straight into the course.
We're gonna start wide and then get ultimately laser focused. We're gonna start with, hundreds, perhaps thousands of keywords, and then get down to this point where we have just a very few handful of laser focused keywords. I know everyone wants the easy thing like, Sean, what tool to use? I honestly, and I've said this before, I don't use a tool. I use many. And honestly, my greatest tools are a high-level discernment that tools cannot make. So our first step is that we're really going to take this $1 million market research template. This is the template that my team uses. It's developed up over years, and it may look like, well, that looks so simple. It does. That's the cool part for you now. It did not start out simple. It started out complicated. So you're getting years and years of experience kind of wrapped up in that template, which I'm super excited to have you have there. So what we do in this process of going wide to narrow is we pick 3 products relevant to your keywords that can ultimately serve you as this sort of going wide. Here's what we're going to do. So we're going to go to Amazon. So what we want to do all the time is go into incognito mode. That way they're not tracking you, they're not trying to feed you information. So even in search results, they will skew the search results. So you don't want them focusing on you as a buyer, you don't want them skewing results based off of your past things, you want to go in fresh. And for that, you have to be in sort of this incognito mode. So that's what we're gonna be in, is incognito mode. And so we are selling a 7-inch video monitor. So we're going to go through and create 7-inch video. So video monitor seems to be the top one, so I'm just gonna go ahead and select that. Now, for me, I'm really looking at a few pieces of information here. One is, I'm looking at reviews. I wanna find something that's got like a ton of reviews on it. So this is a 5.5 inch, so it doesn't even relate to what I've got. The 7-inch has 383 reviews, and I can do the Free World Let 7-inch, right, has 188 reviews, 159. So the 300 looks like one of the best ones right now that we've kind of got going. And I also want to be able to do 4K. So this is the only one with 4K, 383. I don't like clicking on sponsored ads just because I just don't like being that kind of guy, that kind of jerk. So I'm going to look down here and see if I can find it. Oh, 4K, HDMI input. Okay, so that's not bad. Even that one, 419 reviews. Hey, look at that. 1,000 reviews, that's a good one. Newer, that will do that. So anyways, now as I get in here, I'm going to be looking around and figuring out, is it actually relevant to the product that I'm going to be creating? It looks like it is. It has a good amount of searches, good amount of reviews, so it tells me that people are happy with it, which is my primary concern, that people are happy with it first, not the algorithm, not anything like that, but people. And then the second part is the A9 algorithm is happy with it as well too. So, okay, I want to add some kind of mount for this. Any of these will work well. Now I've got these 3 products. I've got 2 that represent SEO for the monitor itself. Because I'm doing a bundle, I've got this one too. So because I've got two separate parts, and there may be two separate things that we need to be looking for SEO, this is a little bit more advanced, we have to make sure that we're covering that full spectrum. I'm still going to pick three. I'm going to pick three that are high value. I'm looking at high value based on the high reviews. So that high reviews tell me that if I had no other piece of information, the reviews tell me lots of sales have been made on this. Amazon likes it. I saw it on page 1. That means Amazon likes it as far as ranking. So that tells me as far as SEO that it's good that way. Now what I'm going to do, we'll go on to the next step. We're going to do a reverse ASIN. I'll show you what that process is, but really this is just the first step on starting to find keywords, a ton of keywords, going wide. So, okay, back to our area here, and we're going to use the ASIN, which in case you don't know is this individual number that Amazon assigns to products when they're created inside of the Amazon system. So it's called an ASIN. So basically it's an ID number that they create, and almost always begins with B0. So you're able to find that up in this little section here, this little one that begins with B there. So it's after all that description, you've come in, you'll find that first set of numbers, that's the ASIN. And we're gonna just grab that, swipe that up, and we're gonna go to one of my favorite tools for that, which is Jungle Scout. And right in this little keywords research area right here, you can enter keywords or ASINs separated by commas. So I'm just going to enter the first ASIN, right? I'm going to go back and get another ASIN, which is this one, and swoop that up. There we go. Paste that in there. And then I'm going to go get another ASIN, which is this one right here. Grab that. And now we've got ASINs for this arm clamp combination. We've got ASINs for 2 of these video monitors. We're going to hit search, and what this is going to do is go ahead and start generating keywords for us. Now, I can see some of these are brands, newer camera monitor. Small Rig is a brand camera monitor. All right. Okay, so we're starting to see some good keywords, and we've got about 4 pages of these. Now, I'm not making any judgments at this point. I'm literally just grabbing keywords. Really what we're trying to do is just to try and make sure we've harvested as many possible keywords as we could. So we're going to keep going. This is just like step number 1. This gets us some keywords, and now we can start seeing if we can go wide and add in more keywords and add in more keywords, just to really make sure that we've exhausted all the potential keywords that we can possibly gather data for, that we're not leaving out any little small opportunities, any nuggets, any flakes of gold that are still valuable to us. They could be worth hundreds, thousands of dollars per month. So we want to make sure that we're gathering those up in as much as possible in this going wide scenario right here. Okay, so based on this, now you've got all these keywords that have been brought up by the reverse ASIN search inside of Jungle Scout. Now, as I've said before, I don't rely on a tool. I find that different tools have different value, and so you're going to see how that kind of works out as we're going through this process. They kind of each have their horsepower range, where one's better at some particular thing as other. I think for this case, reverse ASIN search, Jungle Scout works really well. I've had great results off of it, so that's what I use it for. What I'm going to essentially do though is grab each one of these, each one that are sort of relevant. I'm going to come over to merchant words, and I'm going to just enter that phrase in there, and I'm going to paste, and I'm going to let it do its thing. And then as soon as that comes up, what I'm going to do is just download this page. So I've got all of these keywords in here, and I just go ahead and grab them all. So as you see, each one of these that I put in here gives me a whole slew of other keywords. So we did the initial one with Jungle Scout, which got us wide. Now we're going wider with merchant words. So at this point, we're just kind of like trying to gather data. Matter of fact, we're just at this point of just being greedy for more, going as wide as possible. And I really kind of equate this to gold mining. I don't know if any of you have ever watched the show Gold Rush. It was actually one of my favorite shows on TV. But really what I was curious about this was how many systems they had. First of all, like they used a lot of systems, a lot of machinery, big sluices, dredges, all these kind of different machines. Not one machine, which is what you're kind of seeing in parallel to this. Not one single machine, not one tool, but a bunch of different tools. And the other thing that always amazed me was this, that for all that gold they were getting, they were moving a lot of dirt. And as a matter of fact, there seemed to be this correlation between the more dirt that was moved, then the more gold was found. So it was almost this idea of like the main goal was just to move more dirt, and the one that could move more dirt than the others would win. And you would almost see this because inevitably at some point in the show they had this, kind of competition. They would see who was doing better, which team was doing better, and it almost came down to who could keep their gear operational longest, because if they could keep those, if they could keep their, their backhoes and their front loaders and all this kind of stuff going longer, they could move more dirt. And if they move more dirt, then they would win and have the higher gold tally at the end, because it was just a matter of process of moving more dirt. And that's really kind of what we're doing right now. The reason we're moving more dirt is because we know we're going to find more of those keywords that are small little nuggets, little flakes that are going to add up to money. So you might find some keywords that are like, man, this keyword only makes me $100 a month. But you find 10 of those keywords and now you've got $1,000 a month. You've cast a broader net. You've brought in a little bit more gold by going a wider. You bring in 20, now you've got $2,000 a month. All of these kind of things just really start to add up. So really at this beginning, when we're doing this is this process of mining that I really want you to keep in mind, that we're actually just trying to move more dirt. It's tedious, it's not fun, it is dirty, but I just want to encourage you that the gold is found, the true gold rush is not like I stuck a pick in the ground, found gold, or I found this one little vein. It's not like this. It's more like what was going on with this show, and that, you just need to move more dirt, and the people that move more dirt would win. But the other part of this is I would see these big, huge, excavators and front loaders and all of this kind of bulldozers and all this kind of stuff moving tons and tons of dirt, literally tons of dirt a day. And it would still get down to some points you had to deal with things by hand. Even at the end, they were oftentimes would had stuff in a pan and they were going through and washing it out. Even after they dealt with all this, they had all these different systems that would end up with some work by hand. So we're going to have a little bit of that, but I encourage you as you're going through this to keep this in mind. You're moving a lot of dirt. It's going to be a little bit discouraging. This just seems like a lot of work. It is. Honestly, it is. You've got to gut up to the fact that if you want what no one else has, you've got to be willing to do what no one else does. I mean, if you want to rank well for free and have Amazon send you to these terms, you've got to be able to be willing to sift through more dirt and even get dirtier. So this represents our big pile of dirt. All these phrases, the things we've downloaded, represent our big pile of dirt as we've kind of gone through this process. Now, what we're going to do is start getting to work with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling over keywords. Now, usually you've got a few pieces of data here on this sheet. I'm only going to care about two of them. One is the actual phrase. The other one is the volume. Now, I like volume to be higher than 400, or I really don't mess with it. But sometimes you get into positions where certain keywords may just not have that amount of search volume. So I'll bring over what I consider reasonable. I can see where there's a fall off, where there's not as much interest, there's not as much search volume in this. And I kind of see it happens right about here in the 111 to this. Now it takes a little bit of time to get used to what is valuable. For the most part, I'm not interested in keywords that have below 400, but if I'm not finding any keywords that, keywords with ranking that are 400 and above, I'll take what I've got. So what I'm going to do is I'm just literally going to copy and paste values only from one to the next. Now you're going to look, we have a phrase and we have a volume. Look, our things are magically beginning to fill in. And I'm literally going to go back and forth like this. So I'll go to the next one and I'm going to delete that so I'm not working in the same thing and duplicating my efforts. Okay, again, in this case, I'm going to paste it in doing format values only, all right? What I'm going to do here, I'm going to rinse, wash, repeat, and do this process over and over again. Now you can see how we got almost close to 1,000 just based off of that whole process, which is good. So now we've got data that we can work with. We've kind of done this process of really trying to go as wide as possible, and we're moving as much dirt as possible, just like these guys. We're really just trying to get that. But as I said, you still got to spend some time with your hands getting a little bit dirty with this. And that's what I'm going to do right now, and just kind of like sort through some of these to try and get them down to keywords that are actually useful to us. We can do a sort here by ascending, descending, all that kind of stuff. So this would be ascending from, sort of, the end to the beginning. So I want the best keywords at the top with the highest search volume. Now, I've said before that I don't think search volume is the most important number or anything like that as far as data. But in this case, what I want to know is I'd rather be looking at phrases that have higher search volume. Now, what we're going to notice right here is immediately that I've got phrases that are not really useful to me. And I'm seeing this, so I would just delete these out and I would start to get rid of that. Now, what I can probably see is like, okay, wow, baby's coming up a lot. And I know this isn't a baby monitor because I'm dealing with a video monitor. It's for mounting on cameras. It's this thing, right? It goes on top of a camera. So I know it's not meant for baby monitors. We want to make sure that we're eliminating phrases that don't have any value to us. So one of the things that I'll probably do at this point is I'll just go ahead and do a quick search. You can do this on Sheets by Command F. You can do it on Excel and all of those other numbers and whatever you're using. You don't have to use Google Sheets. It's just what I use. And then I'm going to just start typing baby. All right. And I'm going to see I have 104 references to baby. This will make it a little bit easier. I'm just going to go ahead and go through and start deleting out all the references for baby. All right. But again, I'm spending time going through by hand. The idea is to get this list a little bit tighter. So I'm going to do that right now, and then I'll come back and I'll kind of show you what we've got. Okay, so we've gotten down to my last two here. A couple of things you're going to notice as you go through. You're going to find some duplicates because we've kind of come at this keyword from a bunch of different angles, right? So we've used the tool, come at it, but sometimes you're going to find duplicates. That's just the case. The good part about this is a lot of people want to avoid the dealing with things by hand, but as I'm looking through on these different phrases, coming up, I get excited about certain things. A field monitor. I don't know what a field monitor was when that came up. It's like, okay, so now I've got like this idea of, do I need to speak about field monitors in my language, in my copy? So it's helping you to understand the marketplace even more. Again, so as you're looking through, I'm seeing obviously that we've got duplicates. We can go ahead and eliminate those duplicates. But when I'm seeing something that I also haven't thought of before, I want to make sure that I'm dealing with those as well too. So screen protector camera, I'm not sure that that's it. So what I'm going to do, if I'm not sure of anything ever, like I'm not 100%, I understand what this is, then I am going to go ahead and just grab that phrase. So again, I'm going to go into incognito, going to go to Amazon. I'm going to go and stick that phrase right into the search bar, right like this. I'm going to see what's going on. Okay, this is not what I were talking about. These are screen protectors, obviously. But if I wasn't 100% sure, then I would want to know about that, all right? Again, this is going to expand your knowledge of the marketplace, so don't skip this step. This is a critical step. As I eliminate some of that dirt, this gives me all kinds of intimate knowledge of the marketplace, like for these kind of things right here, that people are looking for SDI. Now, if you don't know what SDI is, we have the answer to that. We go look it up. But I find out from my research that that is one of the connectors on the field monitor. So SDI, people are actually searching for that. All of these things that have specific names like Pangshi and stuff like that. So even if we're not using a Pangshi arm, I keep those phrases in there because you can use individual brand names to target for pay-per-click advertising later on. And some of those can be very profitable as keywords because maybe you're doing a better job marketing. Hopefully, if we work together and you follow everything I'm telling you, you're doing a much better job than anyone else out there as far as marketing. You could actually pull some of their customers because like, wow, that looks 100 times better, offers me more of what I'm looking for, and you can actually target them. So whenever people come in and enter Pangshi and look for that product, they're like, wait, what's this? This looks better, and then they purchase that as well too. So really this offers us a whole level of deeper understanding. Like I have a deeper understanding now that people are looking for cat monitors, has me thinking of future products. Do I have something that I could possibly use as a future product if I'm in the video monitor space, right? People are looking for video monitors for a number of things, and I already have the technology. Is cat monitor is something that I could go into that may be useful? If not, maybe I can help a friend out with it or something like that. Cat monitors, backup monitors are not part of what I'm looking for, so I can know that what I'm not going to be targeting in PPC, and if I see those phrases come through, I can put them into negative keywords so that we're not using those. So this intimacy you get just dealing with these keywords is astounding, and people avoid the pain of this. Hear me, hear what I'm saying. People avoid the pain of this because they're afraid to get their hands dirty and they just don't like it. But the intimacy and what you're understanding of your SEO space and what's going on is absolutely astounding. So don't avoid that pain. Dig deeper, dive deeper, be willing to do this work that I'm showing you, and I can guarantee you're going to get the results that no one else gets. So really quick, I had a bite and I came back and changed the set. But let me explain what's going on here. We're looking at competition because it's not just enough to have a great set of keywords that we're looking at high volume. High volume is actually probably the least important of any of these figures that we're going to be going through. Now we want to take a look at competition because it really matters. It's going to be the amount of resistance we have in being able to rank quickly for any of these keywords. So we need to know how much competition is out there. This goes a little bit deeper. I've got more to explain on that now and how specifically Amazon works with opening up new keywords to you. But right now I just want us to know that we need to be able to know what the competition is so we know how quickly we'll be able to rank for keywords, and be one of the other factors is sort of narrowing down the keywords that we're going to be looking at. So what we're going to do in looking at the competition is essentially this. We are going to go to Amazon, right? So we're going to open up an incognito window, and then we're going to go back to our other window and just grab one of these keyword phrases. Right here we go. Paste it in. Boom. Here we go. And so what we're going to see immediately, because we're incognito, we're getting genuine results. Amazon's not trying to feed us something that we've had before, but what we're seeing is that we've got 5,000 results for this. Now what this means is that Amazon thinks that there are 5,000 relevant listings, 5,000 of these listings you're seeing right here, not the sponsored ones, mind you, not sponsored. 5,000 relevant listings that are non-sponsored, organic listings that Amazon thinks are worthy of ranking for that keyword. That's why you see all of these on here. And it says that there are 5,000 relevant non-sponsored keywords. So now we're going to go ahead and just copy and paste that right back into here. We come over here, paste the competition, and paste it. And then we keep going back and forth like this. All right, paste another one in. And now we see the results for that, 403. So this really tells us some important pieces of information. One is we can see that as we go along, we are seeing that this keyword, video monitor, has 15,000 searches, but it has 5,000 competing results, whereas this keyword that has 12,000 searches per month only has 403 competing results. So my question to you is, which one do you think is going to be easier to rank for? Which of these two keywords right now do you think is going to be easier to rank for? Is it the one that has 5,000 competitors or 403? So the critical thing is you need to understand that it's going to be easier to rank for this phrase because I only have to wade through 400 some listings to get to page 1, whereas I have to wade through 5,000 listings to get to page 1. Do you see the value of what's going on here? This is amazing information. Most people don't understand this. Right now, I know something very critical about two of these keywords. One is that this is a great keyword, has 15,000 searches a month, but this is probably even a more valuable keyword to me because it gets 12,000 searches a month, which isn't much less than that, but look how much different the amount of competition is. So out of these two keywords, I can rank faster for this one than I can for this one. So a couple of things here. Obviously, we want to make sure that this phrase is relevant to what we're actually selling, and I know that it is, so I think that that's a good one. I will probably end up making sure that we put this and try and rank for this both with PPC, organically, in our terms, and all of that kind of stuff. And we'll see how the rest of this pans out because there's other pieces of information that we really need to know. Now, if you downloaded the $1 Million Market Research Template and are following along right now, you're going to see something very exciting happening on your screen. The one is this. As you end up putting these figures in, you're going to notice something happening to the right, which is what that is. Look over here what's happening. This is really quickly adding some valuable information that's going to help you decipher what are good keywords for you as you go along. You're noticing as these figures go in, you're getting these index values. Now this has come to be known as the Farrington Ranking Index, but it didn't start out that way. It really was just a tool I was using to be able to sort through keywords very quickly because what it tells me that there are certain keywords that are just more valuable to me because we can rank faster for them. So that's the Farrington Ranking Index. It fills in automatically if you have the sheet. So that's one of the reasons I suggest you have the sheet. You follow along exactly with what we're doing because it's already in there. But I'm actually going to show you how to figure this out on your own, so you're not relying on this if you don't want to. I'll explain the formula to you really quickly. So if we go to this, we can see the formula, right? So the formula up here, so it's the sum of the volume divided by the competition. the volume divided by the competition. So if you have to go back and ever lose this, that's essentially what you need. You have this cell divided by this cell, and you get your Farrington Ranking Index. Critical piece of information. Let's continue on. Pulling up these phrases, we just go back and forth like this. Right, and we put that in, and it's going to tell us, hey, this one only has 20 results. So now we're seeing something even more critical. So I'm going to go ahead and fill these in. I'll come back when I'm finished just so you can see what it is, and we'll start manipulating the data. Okay, now we have all of these numbers here. We've got the volume, we've got the competition, we've got this Farrington Ranking Index, and it's about to get really exciting because I'm going to show you how you can just kind of scrub through some keywords really, really quickly and figure out what's important to you and what's not. But first, we're going to do a really quick little move here. We're going to take this, all of this information that we have, all of these numbers that we have, and we're going to go put them onto the unparsed area. So I'm just going to call these out of here. You can start over here in this unparsed area. Oftentimes I do, but the reason I'm putting these over here is because I want to make room on this sheet for only the keywords that I'm ultimately going to care about. But here's really quick, it makes this really interesting for us. If we just hover over this right here, watch what's happening. I hover over this, and then I sort Z to A. Watch this, this gets really exciting. So we're going to click on this, and boom, look what happens. So now we can see that what we have are keywords that we could rank very quickly for, and we know the actual data now. So we're just going to start pulling these over and go, I think these are valuable to me. So here's what we'll do is we pull these over, and we're just going to literally go into this section and say, I'm only interested in these, right? See this section down here labeled PPC only? This is a cool little section down here. This is where you can put keywords that you not necessarily going to be able to use on your front-facing information. And what I mean by that is you're not going to be able to use them in the title. You're not going to be able to use them on the actual listing where you have your bullet points and all that because you're not selling black magic monitors. But they're still valuable to you in a different way. You can actually use these for PPC, and they've already shown that they have some value for quick ranking. So what I'm going to do is literally just cut these out, paste them into the PPC only section. And now we've got these for future reference. We can go back in and add them to PPC campaigns because though you can't place them in the front end, you can place them in your PPC campaign. So if you've got something you think can compete against this Black Magic Design Video Assist, you think it's better than that, you can use it in product sponsored ads, meaning I'm actually trying to compete directly with another product and say every time they show this, please show my product. So we just want to keep these alive, and again, a large part of our whole process is just keeping valuable keywords alive. So unless we're going to sell the Pangxi, it's a branded name, so I don't know if I'm going to keep it in there. So what I'd probably do for that one again is I'd pull it over to the PPC only as well too. And I'm just going to start pulling over keywords that I feel are valuable to me based on research. If I'm unsure, I'm going to go do the research, right? 5-inch monitors, small HD monitors, that's a branded term again, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull that one over to PPC only and put it in there. So I'm going to continue this process, and I'm just going to go ahead and fill these in with the ones that I'm interested in, and making sure to keep alive what I want. Ones I'm not sure of, I'm going to do research on. Ones I am sure of, I'm going to pull over and either put them into one of these two areas. I'm going to either put them into top, or I'm going to put them into PPC only, or I'm going to leave them behind here. Those are the only three choices I have to put them into those three areas. Okay, I am so excited just how far we've got, but you're noticing right now we've got a much smaller list of keywords that we're getting down to, and this is really just doing, again, as we move sort of left to right, we're moving naturally down from the wide to laser focused, and that's narrowing down from left to right. And what I mean by that again is add we new information from left to right on this form. It really is just kind of clearing things up. But I've got them into two groups now. If you're selling two products like this, it kind of becomes critical that you realize that you're actually shooting for two separate keyword markets. Some people are going to be searching for the arm, and maybe you can upsell them to the monitor. Probably not the primary way you want to do. What you're going to be looking for is the people that are probably searching for the monitor, because the monitor is just a more expensive item. And then they'll go, hey, that also has an arm that I was interested in buying, and I knew I'd have to buy anyways. They put it together in one package, and that made it more valuable to me. Okay, again, moving left to right, our next piece of information then becomes, hey, what do we do with these keyword sales? Now, this is exciting here, okay? Because what a lot of people don't realize is, a lot of sellers don't realize this, even seasoned Amazon sellers don't realize that each one of these keywords has a market.
All right, each one of these keywords has its own market where there's a certain amount of money flowing through each one of these. And I'm going to give you the specific tools that will help you to understand what this is. But we need to understand that search volume isn't the only information, competition isn't the only information, even the Farrington Ranking Index isn't the only information. It's all very critical information. And as you can see, it's helped us to narrow things down quite a bit. But what we need to know, what this is telling us right now, is what one of my mentors said right here, is this information tells us that there's a hole in the market. The next thing we want to know, is there actually a market in the hole? That's one of my mentors, Trevor said to me. He said, is there actually a market in the hole? So once you find all this stuff that gets you like, hey, there's a hole in the market, I can fill this void and go in and do all this stuff, is it worth it? Is there actually money there to be made? And you want to know this up front. It's got to be part of your SEO strategy, your holistic looking at everything. Because if it's not, you could be ranking for a keyword that there's just no money in. And why would you do that? So I'm going to show you how to find that right now. This gets exciting. All right, so what we need to do to find this keyword sales number, so we're going to just take this keyword, we're going to go to incognito over here inside of Amazon. And again, we're doing this so that Amazon doesn't track us and try and feed us keywords that we're not interested in. And then you're going to notice down in my lower right-hand corner here, I have a thing that says Show Scope. Now, Scope is a tool that I use. It's a specific kind of scope, so I'll put a link down in the description for you so that you can go grab that and make sure you have this tool as well too. But one of the cool things you're going to notice right here inside of Scope is this. The average revenue right there. So if I pull that, I can Command C that, and really quickly it tells me, hey, how much money is being made on this keyword. So now I've got one piece of data. That makes $14,000 a month. That keyword has a value of $14,000 a month. And you're like, oh, who cares, Sean? What does that mean? Well, let's keep going. All right, so mini HDMI monitor, there we go. So it's going to come up and it's going to generate $11,000 a month, all right? So what we're seeing from that is we're seeing that this keyword right here is worth a little bit less in monetary value per month than this one. So that's part of the, you can see already some of the decision making this tells us just between these two things. We've got 10,000 searches in competition, which means it's going to be really hard to rank for this keyword right out of the gate. This one's going to be a little bit easier to rank for, and it still makes $11,000 a month, right? You can see the difference in how hard this is going to be ranked versus how much money this is going to be to rank. So now we're just going to keep going and grab some more. Camera video monitor. Okay, here we got, it's coming up with this. I want to see what this figure is. I always get excited. This is kind of like a little bit addictive to me, is finding this. Now look at this, $22,000 a month. Now what this tells me is, I like this even more because this is where things start to get really exciting. Now look, we have a camera video monitor, all right? This has 10,000 competition, this has 3,000 competition. This only has 1,000 competition, almost the same amount in searches per month, actually a little bit more than that, all right? But gets $22,000 in sales a month. $22,000 in sales a month. So you can see this is double the amount of sales on that. If I had thought this was a great keyword to go after and not really thought this through, or if I even thought that this was a great keyword to go after, look at this. Beginner information would have been like, this gets a high amount of search volume. This does get a higher amount of search volume. This actually makes more money. And that's the critical information that most people don't realize. What I just gave you right there is worth $1 million. I'm telling you, most people do not know this, that this even exists. So you have to know this for each one of these keywords. What is the monetary value for each one of the keywords? It really helps to bring in that decision making when you're trying to finally get to the point of like, hey, what keywords do I actually want to put first in my titles and put and kind of seed throughout my copy, and which ones do I really want to go for on PPC, which ones are worth going for when I don't know anything else, right? When I don't have any other information. This is really critical and shows you this. So this tool is really awesome for doing that, and you can go another way other than the tool, and I'll just show you quickly how to do that. It's very complicated, not extremely fun, but I'll just show you. So if you got rid of this and just came into one of these, you'd have to start looking for the non-sponsored ads on any of these pages. So these things across the top are sponsored ads. You're going to pick the top 16 or whatever's on page 1 listings that are non-sponsored, not page 2, only page 1, and you'd come through and you literally just open up all of them. You'd click open all of them, click, 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 and keep opening them all up. You go into the listing. When you get to the bottom of almost every listing, listing. So you kind of get past all the marketing and all that stuff. You get into this little section, product information. You can search for it if you want to do a search, but it kind of gives you these bestseller ranks. Number 1 in video monitor, number 2 in video accessories. And you're gonna have to look up what those ranks mean as far as actual sales figures per month. So let's just say, and I'll show you how to do this with a tool if you wanted to. You could go into Jungle Scout, Amazon Sales Estimator. Let's just choose a category like baby. Let's just say, now let's not do 100. Let's just say it's sales rank like 10,000 in baby. All right, let's just say really quick, 10,000 in baby. We're gonna do this, and it's gonna basically come up with an estimator. It's gonna say that makes 270 sales per month, and then you pull out your trusty calculator, and I use my phone like this, my trusty calculator, and I get on there and go like, okay, so 270 sales a month, and the item is $39.99. All right, 270 times 39.99 equals $10,000 a month, all right? And then you have to do that for each of the products that you're looking for that are in that rank for that phrase. So whatever that phrase is, you've got to calculate up all the products, do that process over and over again for each one of these products and add them up. And that will give you a total number of sales for all the products on page 1. Then you divide by the total number of products on page 1, and you divide that figure. So usually it's 16, just so you know. The number of listings on page 1 is usually 16, but it can vary in category and depending how they're displaying. And Amazon changes that all the time. So whatever the total number of listings on page 1 are, you're just going to go ahead and calculate up the sales for each one of those, divide by the total number you calculated, and that's your average sales. Now, a product like Scope just does that so much better for you. But what I need to know is I need to know that figure for all of them. So if you don't want to pay for Scope, go ahead and do it by hand. That's the way to do it by hand. I just explained it to you, but you want to go through each one of these numbers and figure that out for that. I'm going to go ahead and do that using Scope. Again, the link for Scope is in the description below, so you can go ahead and grab that. I'm going to go ahead and knock out the rest of these numbers here. You go do this for your product as well. All right, so now we've got all of this data in here too. That we got the keyword sales for all of those, and it just gives us more information to look at where we're kind of like seeing, $15,000 a month. We see this and makes $96,000 a month for camera monitors. Small video camera monitors makes $146,000 a month, but look how hard that's to rank for, right? And that's kind of a goal to maybe reach for, but on day 1, you're probably not going to rank for that, nor do you really want to. There's not a ton of searches for it, but it is making some money whenever you can get into, but it's 20,000 strong that you're going to have to wade through to get there. So maybe it's more reasonable to go for this keyword, before you go for that, and assuming that they're all relevant keywords and things like that. All right. So now we've got one more piece of information that we really need to be looking at. Again, where as we get from left to right, we can start to see how we're able to make better decisions. And really, this is the critical part. You just really want to make better decisions. We've already looked at volume, which was the beginner information that everyone sort of looked at. This gets lots of search volume per month. Okay, who really cares? Competition took us to a new level where we're like, okay, we're starting to see how competition is important, because the more competition, the harder it's going to be to rank for those keywords. And then you're saying, okay, we found some keywords that have low competition, high search volume. That gives us a hole in the market. We want to know what my mentor Trevor said. He said, is there actually a market in the hole? Is there money to be made when you get there? Because we can see some of these, like this keyword, has low searches but only makes $402 a month. I don't really want to fight for that. Or if you went with complete beginner information and said, hey, 10,000 searches a month, that's really good. And even if you went, oh, that's only the more intermediate information, and go, hey, that only has 1,000 competitors a month, but it only makes $1,000 a month. And that's on average. Do I care about fighting to get to page 1 to only make about $1,400 a month? I don't. In this case, I really wouldn't. I'm much more interested in some of these bigger numbers, right? 104,000 and stuff like that. And you can do that. Recording monitor, especially if yours has recording capability, it's a lot more less searches than the 20K that you would get to 146,000. But even then, I can look at some of these more reasonable ones and say, hey, that's exciting. But I don't get quite as excited as I would have if I just started with this beginner information and said, oh, hey, it really matters how many searches there are per month. It really almost doesn't. So you can see how we're just gaining the ability to make better decisions the more we continue down the sheet. And that's really the beauty of the sheet. The more you kind of follow it on the marketing research, you just continue on down the way, the more information you kind of get. Now, this last piece of information is critical too. And we're going to be looking at Google clicks. Now, let me tell you why this is important. For a few different reasons. One, I look at this as confirming and disconfirming evidence. Now, what I mean about this is sometimes keywords pop up on Amazon that seem like super exciting keywords, and then they die a really quick death. In other words, there's a fast inflection point for some of these where it's like they come on the scene quickly, they die just as quickly. That can happen within weeks or months sometimes on Amazon. On Google, it takes a little bit longer. So you could have a keyword that takes off on Amazon and then takes a little bit longer to show up for searches outside in the real world off of Amazon, if you will. And so when I see searches that exist both on Amazon and on Google, it tells me that there's some stability there. Meaning these are keywords that are going to have a longer value, a longer lifespan than just popping up and then going away fairly quickly within weeks or months or whatever the case is. So it tells me stability off of Amazon, that there's people searching off of there too. That's reason one. Reason two, if you do a good job of picking keywords that also can optimize for Google search, that means that you have the ability then to rank for Google search. Meaning if your listing is important or gets picked up by some social media channels, or you put it on social media channels, hint, hint, and they have a link coming into that listing, Google's going to start to see that from high authority sites. If you know anything about Google, from high authority sites and leading to your Amazon listing, they will actually rank your listing in the Google search results. You're not only getting good search inside of Amazon, you're also getting good search results and value on that search term off of Amazon on Google as well. So those are the two reasons that you really want to make sure you're paying attention to Google. So I'm going to show you how we do this. It's relatively simple. It happens pretty quickly, and I'll go ahead and explain this to you as we kind of go along here really quickly. So, okay, so you're going to see that I have a new tab up here, and this is called the Google Keyword Planner. If you have a Google account, Gmail or whatever, you have access to this. If you need to know how to do that, Google it now, right? Go search right now on how to find this. You can search for Keyword Planner and how to do this. But inside of there, once you set up your account, it's fairly easy. You go ahead and get search volume and forecast. So that's what we're going to do, is get search volume and forecast. Now, I've kind of divided up this list. You're going to notice I divided up this list into accessories and monitor arms. So I'm going to have to go ahead and delete this stuff right now, because I'm going to put this in alphabetical order, because if I don't, the results aren't going to line up, and I want to keep this really simple for us as we kind of move forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and delete this row. I can come back and do all of this later, and then we can delete all of this stuff. I was really just trying to keep that simple for me as I kind of move on, so I knew really just how to focus on those two keywords. Then I'm going to go ahead and sort this by A to Z, because the reason I'm doing this is because this is how Google is ultimately going to deal with this information. What I really want to do is make it as clean as possible to do a click, cut, and paste back into this information. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these like this. Or we're going to go ahead and pull this up, and then we're going to go over to the Keyword Planner. We're going to paste that in like that. So again, it's in alphabetical order. We're going to click Get Started, and then it's going to produce the results. You can see right now it produced results, right? So 4-inch monitors at the top and all of that kind of stuff. Now, the simplest way that I've found to do this is to just go ahead and open it up in Google Sheets. I don't really care what this says, because I'm just going to go ahead and just look at it. So I'm going to open the sheet and then grab it, right? So now you're going to have a whole bunch of crazy information here. We don't care about anything besides the clicks, all right? All right, so we're going to come over here. We don't care about CTR. We don't care about any of this other stuff. We just care about estimated clicks and estimated impressions, right? So I want to look at those two things. So if I just do this right now, and those things were all in order, what it should be ending with down here is at the bottom, it should be video webcam extension arm, right? So I'm going to go ahead and grab all of these, pull them over, and if I did it right and did all this stuff right, watch what happens. I should be able to go up here to this and paste this in, and then do this, and then I've got the Google click numbers, all right? Okay, so I'm just gonna go double check my stuff. 5 monitor, and if I look at this, so 5 monitor, where's 5 monitor, is going to have 111 and 1805. 111 and 1805, all right? So I can tell that I've got the right information in there. You can verify some more of these. I've done this enough times to know that if it ends up matching at the bottom, meaning if you've got the same amount of keywords, you've got data going all the way to the bottom of your keywords, you got all the keywords. The reason I mention this is sometimes Google will actually like condense this down and go like these two keywords are too close together, and I'm going to condense them down into one thing. But it didn't do that, so we can verify. As long as I have the same number of search data at the bottom I have for this than I have for that. Now, All right, step number 8 is to pick the top keywords. That's what we're gonna do right now, is pick those top keywords. And here's how we're gonna do that. Let's dig in. All right, so we've got all this really cool data. Let me go ahead and move me to the top there so you can see. We've got all this cool data. Here's how I'm gonna just start doing this. I'm gonna show you the exact process I use, is I just go ahead and start sorting these by importance. So I'm looking at, again, this is probably one of the least important things. We're going to go left to right, just go all the way across. We're going to search by volume. What are the highest sales volume keywords? Let me be honest, this is art. You're getting in sort of the art side of it. Now you're going to use your head. You're going to look at all this stuff and figure it out. But I'm looking how when we go from 19 to 16 to 16 to 14 to 12 to 10 to 7 to, and then all of a sudden it kind of lulls in this 3,000 range, where there's a lot of 3,000 range keywords and 2,000 range keywords. I'm looking for these high movers up here in this range. So I'm going to call this to about here, and all I'm going to do is do this. I'm going to bold those keywords, right? So all I'm doing the bolding for is just to keep track of them. I want to keep a good visual count of what's going on. Now, so we wanted the highest volume first. On the competition, we actually want the lowest, right? We're interested in having the least amount of competition for keywords, and I hit the absolute wrong thing here. I want to go A to Z, so I'm going to go lowest. And so I'm looking for these keywords, and I'm looking where things kind of fall off again. So again, you get to the end of this range, they go from 82 to 100 to 200, and then it kind of get into this 300s and 400s and 500s and 600s and on down. Generally, I'm interested in anything that's 3 digits, and 2 digits are really exciting to me if it's good. But 3 digits is pretty good. Low 3 digits is really good. Once you get into the thousands, you can tell everything's like 1,000, 2,000, everything's like 4,000. And then these really, I don't want to be competing at 10 or 100,000. Like, oh my goodness, that's a lot. So I really kind of like these low 3-digit figures kind of in this range right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight those, pick up through this, and we're going to go here and bold it, right? So that's to keep track of ones that are that way. And then on the Farrington Ranking Index, we're just going to go ahead and put all those in the middle to make them all look the same for me, all right? And so I'm going to go ahead and pick the ones. We want to go to the ones that are highest. So again, we want to go Z to A. So the highest ranking ones are first. And again, I'm looking for where these kind of fall off. And it looks like they're kind of falling off into 3,000. It lulls out, or the 3s, the 2s. And generally, I don't like to pay a whole bunch of attention to ones that are below 1. Sometimes you have to pay attention to the ones that are below that certain amount, because there just are no other options. But in general, I like to know that there is at least a little bit more searches than there are competition. And that's essentially what this is showing us right here. It's showing us that there are more searches than there are competition when we have these higher numbers. So unless I absolutely have to, I actually almost ignore everything below 1 and only focus on this. So again, I'm looking for that fall off. It looks to be happening in the 3s here. So I'll just kind of go down to this 4 section, and I'm going to hit bold that one. We're going to do the same thing for keyword sales. Now, as you're seeing, this helps us to automatically start to see, hey, what kind of keywords have value to us? What keywords are we pretty much the most interested in holding on to? They're the ones that have high volume, low competition, which is the Farrington Index score, helps you to determine exactly that pretty quickly. And now we're on with keyword sales. So what I'm going to do is we're going to sort Z to A, because we want the highest numbers up at the top here. And notice this, we're just going to be looking for fall off. And I notice that everything kind of after it gets down below this 100,000, it kind of drops off pretty quickly. So I'm going to look for that. I'm going to go maybe down to like 96,000 and just put that in, all right? And then Google click, we're going to do the same thing. We want a high number of Google clicks. So we're going to sort from Z to A and look at this and see what we got going on there, all right? We can see what gets down to 1, but these are kind of the most interesting stuff right here in this range. So I'm just going to go this stuff to here, to me, is the most interesting. Okay, so now we've got our most interesting pieces of data, the ones that are bolded. I kind of just want to keep an eye on, which is why I'm doing this. Sorry, I keep popping off that video. I want to keep an eye on those bolds and make sure they just don't get left behind by any of my stuff. But I'm really going to start searching with this Farrington Ranking Index, because this tells me the ones that have the highest possible value as far as being keywords that we can rank for quickly. And if they have money too, then that kind of lands with what the decision making is. So this Farrington Ranking Index really takes care of these first 2 columns for me. So I can pretty much just focus on this, this, and this, though you'll see I'll reference some of this sometimes, and I'll show you how. So we're going to just start looking for relevant keywords. So Video Editing Monitor, just looking over some of these, realizing that's not really quite a term, and that's just because I know this space. I know what's going on inside of it. But a camera external monitor, That's a good keyword. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that to the top because it's the first one we're really looking at. And I just created a blank space there just as sort of a line of demarcation to know, hey, I'm putting keywords up here that I'm really interested in, right? 5-inch video monitor is not what we're selling, but I can see right now I don't know that I'm interested in selling for that keyword because it's only $1,000 in sales per month. 7-inch video monitor, maybe. Okay, so let's pull that one up. It's a good ranking. We're looking at these as in order of how we could rank for them, how easy it would be to rank for them, or the overall value of the volume to the competition. And we got to remember this about these phrases. If I haven't said this already, is that when we're looking at phrases and looking at the amount of money, sometimes it can be a little bit disheartening or it can be over encouraging. We need to realize that when we're looking at something like $4,000 here or $4,700 a month, what that's actually saying is that's the average of sales. If you remember how we went through and calculated everything, it's saying that that's the average of sales of $4,700 per month. So there are some listings that are going to make more than $4,700 a month, and hopefully that's you, and there are some that are less. So when I see the average, this tells me that if I completely mess up my marketing and only do mediocre marketing, that I should be able to hit something in the average. Knowing what the top sellers do lets me know what the top of the market is right now today, right? So I just want to know that there's money, and I'm looking at averages for average performance. If we do better than that, which with good marketing and following the rest of the information on this channel, you should definitely be able to do. But right now we're just focusing on that. So again, we're going to pull up some other ones. Bogan arm, that absolutely does relate, and I like how this has very low searches per month, so we could rank for that. We could be on page 1 probably in a day or two anyways, so just doing generally good marketing. Hawk arm, only $1,700 a month, not interested. I happen to know this is not a wireless one, but that might be some good reference for future, knowing that that's a sales and that's what people are looking at. I might want to just keep this aside and say, hey, in the future, I might actually want to go ahead and find a way to launch that product because look at that. So I'll just keep that out of the way for future reference down here somewhere and just stuff it aside. So you're kind of cool how you find little nuggets in there that may help you guide your business over time. Okay, keep focusing here. Field monitor for DSLR cameras. I like that. Oh, let's get $8,000 a month. All right, so that's a pretty good. What we've got going on there. Video editing monitor, Hawk, video monitor. Video monitor, $83,000. I like that, but that's telling me that's going to be a little harder to rank for because it's got 3,000 competitors, so it's going to be a little bit harder to rank for. You get in the same thing like camera monitor. Where is camera monitor? I just saw it here. Camera monitor, look at that one. That's 96,000, but it's also got 10,000 competitors. So you look at these two and go like, it's going to take me a while to rank for that, but not so much for that. And that's the difference. You can see the insertion of one word here between camera monitor and camera monitor is the external. Changes the competition greatly, but it also changes what the monthly amount is. And that's why it's so important to realize that each of these keywords has their own marketplace. They each have their own value, and keep that in mind all the time so you know what the monetary value is. Again, this one tells me that there's a hole in the market, right? Only 333 in competition for camera external monitor. And there is some market in the hole, meaning there is some actual volume of sales being made there. But this one has a lot more, so if we can learn how to really compete in this space and we can take on these 10,000 competitors, then that's going to be exciting. But it's going to take us a while to wade through 10,000 listings to get to page 1 to really start to compete. So that's what I want to be aware of. Camera video monitor, and that's combining camera monitor and camera video monitor. So I like that one already. Because that could tell me one we could rank for pretty easily. And because what happens is Amazon will sort of ungate keywords, meaning as you get better at these lower value keywords, as you say rank for something like this where you've only got a few competitors and it's only a few $1,000s per month, they'll slowly open you up to other ones. So you rank for a 4,000 keyword, they'll give you an 8,000 keyword, then it'll open to 18,000. Then over time they'll give you the 83 because each one of these keywords, Amazon, unlike Google, knows the value, the monetary value of each one of those keywords. Google only knows your bounce back rate, and if you insert a pixel somewhere, they know that you landed on a page and triggered the pixel. Amazon actually knows, hey, this keyword makes a lot of money, and I'm not sure I'm going to let a rank amateur, get a shot at it just out of the gate. We're going to see how they perform on some of these other keywords first, and then I'll give them a shot at this. So the good thing about a keyword like this, camera video monitor, contains video monitor and camera monitor in the keyword. So that might be one I would consider leading with when it comes to my SEO SEO for title on the on page, back end as far as back end placement, also your pay-per-click and all of that kind of stuff, because it will lead you in the right direction as far as what you want to do. It'll give you future value on these keywords as well too. As you sell and rank into these, Amazon knows it's a video monitor. Amazon knows it's also a camera monitor, and it's going to open this up to you. So phrases like this become very important, and I end up pushing them a little bit to the top of the top of the list. So SDI monitor, right? SDI monitor, 7-inch. Let's see, that is exactly our does have a 7-inch monitor, and it's SDI. I also want to just see some Google. Now the problem with the SDI monitor 7-inch, there's no Google data, so I'm not going to put it up quite as high. I'll tuck it in here somewhere and make sure that it's placed. Just like this field monitor for DSLRs, it doesn't have quite as much value. There's no Google, but there's money being made on Amazon. There's low searches. So I'm going to stick that, and I'm going to focus on these, but I'm probably going to focus on a word like this first that I know will open up phrases like this later, and I'm going to add these other ones in to kind of round everything out. DSLR camera with the bogan arm, right? If I can add in a bogan arm to that bundle that I'm making, then I can go ahead and that's a good keyword that'll rank really quickly, all right? And they'll start to see like, oh wait, I wanted a bogan arm for a monitor. Why don't I just get the bogan arm and the monitor? And it'll just kind of expose me to a little bit more traffic. So that's kind of a cool little, it's a little trick that I've done there. And then Canon monitor for camera. All right, so you could even have something like this where you start to pull up. What I would do with terms like this, let's see where this one pulls in, 30,000, but it's got 0 Google. So I'd actually want these other ones up a little bit higher because they have Google involved with them. That's how much I think of Google and all of that kind of stuff. But I'd want that up a little bit higher and this. So a couple things about these terms here. The Canon monitor, where'd that one go? It doesn't have really any Google, but what you can start to do is you've mentioned things like Canon, Nikon, for Blackmagic Video, for all of these different kind of things. And it's a way just to cast a broader net for more shoppers when you add those in. You can add them into your title. You can add them into the actual keyword use on the front-facing keywords on your page. Just essentially gives you a ability to cast a broader net for more SEO terms. So you can see pretty quickly how we can do this. Now, so adding in brand names, that's a little bit different. We talked about PPC only, being concerned about specific brand names for products. This is a little bit different. You can mention for use of products or accessories for products such as Canon, Nikon, and all that kind of stuff, because these are not selling the Canon and they're not claiming to be a Canon monitor or a Canon camera. What they're claiming to be is a product that will work with the Canon monitor and the Canon camera. So hopefully that makes that clear. And you can see right now just how you can start to build up a whole list of phrases that would really work for you and bring you value, not only monetary value, but also value as far as the individual keywords and everything else. Now let me just say something about this sunlight readable monitor real quick. If we take a term like this, when I see a big thing that's out of line from a lot of, we see 1883, 195 seems like it's gone a little bit out of line. I just want to dig a little bit deeper. And so, putting this into here, what I want to do is notice what goes on the page, right? So I want to look at this and go, what else am I seeing on this page? So I'm seeing some that are related, but I also see this. This is for gaming, it looks like, possibly. It looks like a desktop, not really a field monitor. So I know it's something a little bit different. And I just want to see, hey, what's showing up on this? And I kind of say, okay, right here, $807,000 a month. So what that's telling me on a term like this, that's the reason this is being pushed up, because there are non-relevant products on that search term that are generating, close to $1 million in sales per month, which pushes up the monetary figure. They're not going to be relevant, but I want to know the sunlight readable, there are others that are relevant to me, so that I want to make sure to use the term. But what I'm saying this for is I don't want to get super excited and think I'm going to make $197,000 a month, because it's not true. And I want to let the data dictate that for me, not my emotions getting all excited about it. I want the data to tell me okay, don't get super excited about that number. But you can see how we can start to build up a good profile this way of keywords that'll work. And you just keep shoving keywords up here that will work for you in that way.
Now let me say this. Amazon SEO is not the whole picture. I know this because I have lots of sellers reaching out to me right now, and they're confused because SEO got them a bump, but then Amazon swiped away their traffic. And that's because the real moves, the ones that create momentum and scale, those are what you need next. And that's exactly what I cover inside of Pro Seller Elite. Look, this is not just training. It's me as your coach. I hold live office hours every week, and I hand you the AI shortcuts that will shave months worth of work into minutes. And you get a community of sellers just like you who are climbing the ranks on Amazon right now. So if you're serious about building an Amazon business that lasts, follow the link in the pinned comment and join us in Pro Seller Elite. But if you're more of a DIY type, I've got you covered too. I built this playlist right here to show you how to grab attention beyond SEO through images, copy, video, and everything that makes your product irresistible. Check out the first video in that playlist, and I'll show you just how easy it all can be.